People, check out these amazing sponsors at the Beeline Entertainment.
This is Aaron Peavy. This is my buddy Butch. We wrote a book called The Rhino That Dreams. You can find it on Amazon. Search for the title, The Rhino That Dreams.
Attention to the East Coast film industry community.
Brand new events coming to the Bedford Film Festival. For information on sponsorship, location, and much more, visit bedfordfilmfestival.com. That's right, get more W. That Gentlest energy drink mix that's going to power you through your gaming, content creation, whatever you're doing, is there for you. Enter that promo code BrianB, and get 10% off your order today. Get more W, get more power. Brand new season of the Allegedly Credible podcast. Check out Lady Faye and Mello Supremo. Great topics, great conversation. Check out Chef Q Purdy of Mama Doe's Cajun and Creole Cafe. That's right, amazing food that can be shipped straight to your door from her website. Check out Chef Purdy at the Bayou Gator Crawfest at the Blue Earth Plaza, April 28th and 29th. Be there. Get your tickets today.
What's good? What's happening? What's going on? Yo, people, yo, it's me, Brian B. We back at it. Yo, once again, we got somebody on the screen here with me today, and you guys are going to know who he is. You've seen him in just about everything. If you've been watching movies like me, if you've been watching TV shows like me, if you've been watching commercials like me, or if you watch stand-up comedy like me, yo, we got a great guest with us here today. I can't wait for you guys to get to meet Mr. Mark Christopher Lawrence here. But before we do anything, I want to say thank you guys so much. It has been an amazing week. We just got done watching WrestleMania. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you guys for joining me with the live. Yo, thank the sponsors. We got the sponsors. Everybody going great. You got the Rhino That Dreams. This guy got a live rhino. Mr. Lawrence, this guy got a rhino in his backyard. He's just living life. But yo, thank you guys. Yo, if you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, do all the great stuff you got to do if you want to see me, Brian B, back at it. But before we do anything, we got to do this. Let's go.
Straight to the point, baby.
It's going down in
3, 2, 1.
People, that's your boy,
Brian B.
Let's go.
Back on the Beeline. I'm looking forward to it. I'm so excited.
Is the influence you have.
Again with strangers.
You gotta be a clean baby's ass.
Hold on real quick.
Knows the hands of fate.
People, it's your boy, Brian B. Welcome to the Beeline Webshow. Let's go. And we back at it. Yo, thank you guys so much once again. We got a screen on the screen. I'm very excited to get to this interview. So guess what? We just got to get to it. If you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff that you usually do. And yo, ladies and gentlemen, introducing. If you haven't seen him, let me give you guys a little quick recap here. First time I saw Mr. Mark Christopher Lawrence was in one of my favorite movies of all time that I literally just rewatched the series a couple weeks ago, was Terminator 2. If you saw Mr. Mark Christopher Lawrence, Terminator 2, with the Terminator coming, the second one, not the first one, the second one, when Sarah Connor was locked up and they didn't believe it, the world is coming to an end. Mr. Mark Christopher Lawrence, that's the first time I saw you, man. And then from there on, it's like history. I've seen everything, commercials, all that stuff or whatever. But people, we got your boy, the actor, celebrity, Hollywood. He's been everywhere. Mr. Mark Christopher Lawrence.
I'm well, B. How you doing?
Doing pretty well, man. I know him a lot. You got to make it happen, though. Thank you so much for coming on the Beeline Web Show. It is an honor to have you sitting here. Now, Mr. Mark Christopher Lawrence, I have had, we've had Mr. Larry Hankin on. We've had Tommy Chong on, which was a crazy experience. We've had a couple of celebrities come on the show and grace with the presence, man. That's why I'm so glad I'm able to speak with you here today. How you doing?
Good.
Good. Feeling good?
Yeah.
Yeah, are you a wrestling fan?
Not really.
WWE? Oh, I've been a wrestling fan my whole life, man.
I like boxing and UFC. You
Me
know, that kind
too.
of stuff. Back in the day, I used to watch wrestling when I was a kid. You know, I used to watch the WWE back in the days of Freddie Blassie and
Oh, we went way back.
Roddy Piper and all those
Yes.
guys.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, it's
I'm a
been
little older
fan.
than you.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, they just had WrestleMania, it's a Super Bowl of wrestling and everything, and they just had it
Yeah.
in it was in LA. And I'm over here, I got it on now. They're over there, they have the big event and everything like that. It's incredible. I mean, it's a lot of fun. We had like a watch party and everything like that with it or whatever. But yeah, it's really interesting, man. Being out. Are you still like out of the Hollywood area?
No.
Oh, okay. So you
I'm
don't
further south.
further. Oh, from the south. Okay, perfect. Well, that's one of the things we want to get to know. You have a very rich history. First off, I want to do like I do with all my guests on the show. Please introduce yourself. Tell us how you're doing, and everything about yourself. Just give your introduction.
Well, I think you already did it. I've been at it for a long time. It's been this May will be 38 years, I think,
Oh man,
as a professional actor, and probably 41 years as a comedian. So it's
blowing my
been a
mind.
long time.
It's blowing my mind how many actors I've been watching my whole life, like yourself, and I didn't realize you guys all started like a lot. Well, at least a lot started in comedy, because that's what Larry Hankins said too. He was a stand-up.
Yeah, I started comedy in high school, but I didn't get serious about it until after college. But by then I was already working professionally as an actor.
Got you. Okay, was that something that you wanted to do from the start? Like, was acting like your passion?
Not really. I went to USC on a debate scholarship. I was going to be a lawyer in my head, and took a voice class for centering, and just to tighten up my speech, and got talked into auditioning for the acting program at USC and got in.
Man, I don't understand how everybody just accidentally becomes like greatness. Like so many people come out here and are like, yeah, well, I was just going to the store and then I tripped and fell and then I was acting class. I mean, like you've been in to hear that you had a 38-year career when you had like a whole nother like vision and something set up for you. You said you used to play sports, right? You football?
Yeah, yep.
I saw a couple of your interviews.
Until I got to USC. When I got to USC, I was going to walk on, and Junior Seau was playing my position, and Marcus Cotton was on the bench behind him, and
Really?
both of those guys went to the pros, and the water boy was bigger than me, so I was like, I was done. I remember calling my mother saying, hey, I'm done with football, and she was like, you sure? I was like, yeah, they got the Samoan dude that's bigger, stronger, faster, prettier. I said, I can read.
That's a big difference. That's awesome, though. So, what was some of the first things you started doing? Like you said, you started comedy in high school. What kind of motivated you to get into comedy?
I had an English teacher that got me involved in speech and debate, and one of the mentors that she put me with used to do shows at USC called An Evening of Soul, and he put me on one of his shows, and that was sort of the beginning of it. And then a friend of mine, one of my best friends in the world, he's like a brother to me. We started doing like comedy team work, and then when I went to college, he went to work, and then I started dabbling in comedy at open mics and things like that. And then when I graduated, I got into my first job out of college. I worked with the San Francisco Mime Troupe, and they do a style of theater, the Commedia dell'arte. So it's like it's really big theater. And when the play was over, the San Francisco comedy competition was starting, and so I got into the competition and made it to semifinals without having an act. And that's when I decided, okay, I could do this, and went back home and started doing these 5-minute sets every week, and that was the beginning of really for me for comedy.
That's awesome, man. You know what's really interesting as we've been getting as we're getting older and stuff like that. I've been a fan of entertainment my whole life. From stand up to wrestling, everything. I love the arts, man. It's really interesting that nowadays we can have these podcasts and these shows and things like that, and we can learn the people that we've been watching for so long, like where they start, their history.
Yeah.
One of the biggest ones that like really spoke to me was John Witherspoon was on Joe Rogan's podcast talking about how he drove from, I forgot where it was. I don't know if it was Detroit or whatever. And he drove all the way to LA with a Cadillac that was leaking oil. He had a TV, and that was he took his life and said, listen, I'm going for it. And he was doing stand-up. He started at the Comedy Store with Mitzi and all that stuff, whatever. It was very interesting, like, just the path of success. Steve Harvey was sleeping in his car. He was homeless. It's just so crazy, like the route that, the people that we watch and we enjoy and are entertained by, you guys start from like, some really humble beginnings, man. Do you find yourself having kind of a story besides just the fact that you kind of just like, hey, I was trying to get better at debating? You just kind of like just happened, man.
It's life does what it does. I feel like God puts you where He wants you to be.
True.
And the people, when I look back on my career, I look back on the choices that I've made that evolve around my career. It's sometimes the choices that I make is not where He wants me to be. So He'll close that door and push me to somewhere else because this is what He wants me to do. Gotcha. And I think, I don't have this I slept in my car kind of thing because, I didn't have to. It's like, it's one of those things where once I started doing comedy, I was right out of college and I was already acting professionally. So I looked at comedy as my day job.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's the kind of way I looked at it until I started really making a mark in Hollywood as an actor. I started doing national commercials, and then commercials became my day job until I became too visible. And now it's like it's rare I get called in for a commercial because I'm too recognizable.
Yeah.
It's sort of a two-edged sword because my agents will say sometimes to casting, hey, well, if he's too recognizable, make him a spokesperson. Well, he's not a big enough name. So, and that's one of the reasons I'm on your podcast today.
That gray area
is because we're trying to put the name and the face together. It's like people know my face, really, they don't know my name.
It's interesting. It's really interesting, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, yeah, because when you see you, like I said, like you realized, oh man, I seen that guy and everything, and even when I was like telling people, like you're coming on the show and everything, they're like, oh, I remember that guy. I remember that guy from that's why I say like Larry Hankin. A lot of times, like we'd be like, oh, that's like you guys are kind of similar in the way of like you guys have been in so much, man. Like as soon as you see you, it's just like, oh yeah, I know that guy. Of course, he's been in everything, but it's interesting. Once again, I didn't know you started in comedy, and it's crazy to know that to have the ability to say, yeah, comedy was like kind of like my career. And I was able to kind of like, you were able to make enough money off of just doing comedy. Did you have like other side part-time jobs?
Not really. I mean, it was one of those things where, when you're starting out, you do what you got to do to make ends meet. Yeah. So I was waiting tables and bartending and, doing stand-up at night. And then there came a time where it was like, okay, clearly I don't have to wait tables anymore. I'm at a point where I don't have to do that anymore. So I stopped.
Yeah.
And that became, my life choice as, it's time to just be an artist.
Yeah.
And so that's what I started doing. And I haven't had to have a day job since.
That's so awesome, man. You're literally in a position where I'm fighting to be right now. And I mean, like you said, everything happens for a reason. But it's just the journey. The journey is what, like, I guess I've been appreciating more the more I'm speaking with, like, people of success. Like, it's a success story. You've been able to do what you love, for a living. I mean, who wouldn't want that? You know what I mean? Have you found any kind of like, setbacks? Being like, hey, I have this amazing career that I've been able to get. Do you ever take time like, man, I kind of have sacrifices that I wish I that have happened since I did have this ability?
And I never look at challenges as setbacks. We go through our daily lives, we make the choices that we make, and if something doesn't work out, okay, that didn't work out. It's time to do something else. Let's go this way. I've always been able to, because I'm a Shakespearean trained actor, so I can go and do a play if nothing else is happening.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that either.
So I typically float from one thing to the next. and I do voiceovers and all that stuff. So things just sort of fall in line, and then there's that thing that I think a lot of younger artists don't understand, and it's about being patient. It's like
Listen.
it's like you're not gonna get them all. Which was the
Yeah.
best thing that ever happened to me. My very first audition, I got the job, and it was for the TV show Hill Street Blues. And all of these people who I grew up watching were auditioning for the same part. Huggy Bear from Starsky and Hutch was Antonio Fargas is his name, was
Wow.
reading for the same part, and it relaxed me so much. I was like, oh well, if they want him, they don't want me, and it was the best thing that happened to me because it started me on that mindset of it's all about choices. It's not about rejection. They just
Gotcha.
chose somebody else if you don't get a job. So that particular job, my first audition, they chose me. So then for the next year, I'd run home and check my machine after an audition, and I didn't book another job literally for a year.
Really?
In television and film, but I was working in theater. I was doing plays at Los Angeles Theater Center.
That's really and see that speaks loudly because it's easy to get discouraged, man. I mean, just doing like this. I speak with a lot of different podcasts and stuff like that. Me for the most part, I try to, like you said, I try to just be level headed. Hey, if this don't work, just try the next thing. Maybe it'll work. You know what I mean? But to sit there and literally go for a year, and I know it's difficult, going to those auditions and even finding the auditions or whatever what you fit in, what they're looking for. To be picked, it does have to feel like you've hit the lottery in a lot of those situations, at least from what I've heard from other people. I don't personally do it, but it's just really crazy that you have the ability to jump into other fields and master other crafts because now you have versatility. And I think, do you think that's the reason why you stayed relevant as long as you have?
Well, I don't know that it's about relevancy as opposed to just being busy. Because when I'm not busy, that's when I get in trouble. So
Don't we all?
So for me, it was especially early in my career. It was all about continuing the journey and continuing to get better at this. And stage acting, I think, is one of the best ways to get better as an actor because you're doing the same words and making them work every night. For like back then, we were doing 8 shows a week at Los Angeles Theater Center. It was 8 shows a week. And so you're saying the same words for 8 shows a week in front of 500 people.
Yeah.
And the audience is different every night. And the only thing that you have control over and the only thing that is what your day was like. You don't know what the actor's day was like that you're working with. So he may give you a line a little differently than last night. You still have to make that line, your response, work in a way that still serves the play and include the audience. And then the audience may laugh tonight at something that they didn't laugh at last night, or cry at something they didn't cry at last night. And when things aren't quite right, you got a chance to make it work tomorrow night. And so for me, it was about early on, especially it was about just continuing to work and grow every time. And that's what I try to do. It's like when I do my work, it's although it seems the same, the way you work, the way you get to where you're going. But the older I get, the easier it gets for me to do it.
Got you. You know what's interesting to me when you were just speaking, it kind of brought up something. And Mr. Marcus Lawrence, I'm definitely going to pick you as the person I'm going to slide this question to. I've always wondered, man, being somebody who's had so many different roles and so many different positions, even what you're saying, being in theater, from being comedy, from being in different roles in movies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever find it challenging to kind of have your own mentality, just yourself, since you're playing so many different hats, man?
No.
I find it seems like it would be so challenging, man, to always have different personality, because you have to be that person when you're playing a character and everything like that.
That's mental health, man. That's
is it?
It's about being healthy mentally and physically, and being able to get into your work and then let it go when it's over. I'll give you a classic example. Years ago, I was doing Fences, and I played the brother Gabriel.
Okay.
And
I never saw that movie. Still,
see the play.
Yeah.
See the
Yeah.
play. See the play.
Okay.
If you get an opportunity to see the play, see the play.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
so we're in tech week, and tech is long. It's like you do what they call a 10 out of 12 for 2 days, and it's a 12-hour day, but you have like a 2-hour lunch break, so it's 10 out of 12.
Okay.
And so by the end of tech, you start your dress rehearsals. So you have one day off before dress rehearsals start, and then you do your dress rehearsals right up until and what they call previews right up until opening night.
Okay.
And so the night before opening night, I was exhausted from the tech, and because there's a lot of sound cues and light cues, and so tech was tedious. And there's in a very emotional part of the play for the character Gabriel. At the end of the play, he's trying to play his trumpet to let his brother Troy into heaven. He wants to open the gates. The whole play, he's like, I'm going to open the gates. And so when Troy dies, the last scene, he comes out and he tells Rose, "Hey, Rose, I'm here. I'm going to open the gates. St. Peter's going to let him into heaven. I'm going to open the gates." And so he blows his trumpet, and then there's a light cue, and then he says, "That's the way that goes." So then everybody knows that his brother got into heaven.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that day, I was so tired. It's just like I was like, man, how am I going to get to this space? The dressing room was kind of loud. So I went behind the stages. One of the flats sort of peeked out a little bit from behind the stage, and I just tucked myself in that little dark corner behind the flat and just thought about my own brother's funeral in real life. And everything that I could think of from the day that we buried my brother, from the time I got up that morning until the time we put him in the ground, everything in minute detail that I could remember, I just thought about that and just walked myself through it. How did that feel?
Yeah.
And then I hear my cue and I go on stage and I say, "Hey, Rose," and there's a tear in my eye. And then the actor I was working with, Sylvia Lapi Thomas, really fantastic actress. She looks at me and then she starts crying. And we play the scene, and then you hear the audience sniffling. And then I get ready to blow the trumpet, and I'm looking up, and I got the trumpet, and I'm hearing the other actors that are coming onto stage now, and I hear sniffling behind me, and I blow the trumpet, and by the end of it, the audience is on their feet, and everybody on stage is in tears. People in the audience are in tears. But that moment for me, it was so powerful, and it was so invasive because of the technique that I used to get to where I needed to be that night.
Yeah. It's really personal.
It took me a couple of hours afterwards to get rid of it.
That's rough, man.
Just because you dredge up stuff to help you get to where you need to be. Comedy, I feel like I'm a better dramatic actor than I'm a comedic actor because I work harder at the dramatic stuff. To be able to get to a place like that, I got to dig into some stuff in your own life. Where comedy, when I'm in a movie or a play or whatever that has humor, my instincts are so sharp that it's easy for me to pick up comedic beats.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
the dramatic stuff I work harder at, so I feel like I'm a much better dramatic actor than I'm a comedic actor.
See, that's so interesting because I feel like I'm goofy and wild, and like I'm always ready to laugh and joke about something or whatever. So it's like I feel like you said, I feel like dramatic roles would be like more for me, but I'm also very outward. Like just knowing my kind of personality, like I'm very outward. I don't deal with a lot of things like inward. I don't like overthink. Like I'm one of the people like if I feel a type of way, I'm probably gonna say it. I'm probably gonna tell you, and it's got its faults, but I don't hold things in. So when I am sad about something, I kind of let myself be sad. I kind of let myself be like whatever. So it's like I feel like the comedy role, I guess that is personal. I guess that's just like I feel like I would fit more in that, and drama would be a little bit more hard for me. But it's just interesting how you can keep those mentalities. The one workers who have this problem that I don't understand how they deal with it are like police officers, man. Especially like police officers when they go and they see all that crazy stuff that they have to see day in and day out, man. How do you train yourself to say, "Oh, I'm going to turn this part of my brain off and open this"? It's got to be challenging.
Well, as an actor, I mean, that's the job. It's like I'm going to work when I'm going to the theater, or if I'm going to the studio, I'm going to work. So you go, you do your job, and then you let it go. unfortunately for police officers, that mental health thing is not so black and white because they're kind of always on. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like even when they're off work, they still are looking at people in a way that that lends itself to what they do for a living.
Yeah.
They're always, everybody's a suspect.
Yeah. They're always
And I think
that.
part of that comes from I think policing in this country has moved to a point where they're not protecting and serving and protecting. Everybody's a suspect. and
Everybody's a
and
suspect.
and so if you get back to that community based policing where I'm here to help these people, I'm here to serve and protect, then I think you get to a point where the mental side of it changes because you have
Yeah.
relationships in the community with people, and you have the opportunity to uh, understand people better.
I firmly agree with you, man. I'm down here in Atlanta, Georgia now, and I'm from New
Mhm.
Jersey. I'm from Elizabeth, New Jersey, and Elizabeth, Newark,
Jersey,
New Jersey, Jersey, man. And
man,
rough
I had
part.
some fried ribs from a Puerto Rican place in Jersey. Woo!
I miss it so much. There's little Spanish shops that isn't it crazy how like the little mom and pop shops you'll get food for days. But one of the things that like you said, you notice like when you come from like maybe a little rougher areas and stuff like that, like you're
Yeah,
saying with the communities and stuff like that. You do notice as you get older, like if you just put a little bit more love into this area, like a little bit more area where like people can come together, whether it be like a community garden, whether it be like this community center, whatever you want to call it, and just give
yeah.
people a reason to kind of link up and feel united and feel together, and it really does make a huge difference. Here in Atlanta, I used to do a lot of delivery jobs when I first got here, and there's
Hmm.
parts of Atlanta I thought, Newark was bad. I mean, it is crazy, man. And I literally like, you look around, I mean, from buildings that have just been abandoned for years where it's just all types of stuff going on. And I mean, it's
Right,
literally like abandoned, crazy building with graffiti. And then you got like a store right next door. It's not even like, how is this a part of the community in this same? And you say to yourself, like, damn, why can't they take care of this? Like, it makes sense. Like, why wouldn't you
right,
take care of this? And like you're saying, it all goes together. If it's not cared for, or it doesn't look like it's cared for, or it's like, you just walk down the street and there's garbage everywhere. So you just throw your wrapper like, oh, I don't care either. Like, unless you have the mentality of like, let me pick that up. It's either or.
right.
So you want that crazy balance. It's interesting, man. It's really interesting to I guess understand the complex of changing communities and stuff like that, or whatever. Because I don't
Yeah,
know if
well,
cops will ever
but
change if we don't change.
yeah, well, I mean, we have to make a change. Otherwise, it's going to be what it is.
Yeah.
And there's I was listening to NPR the other day. There's some police stations across the country that are making a move to make a change.
It's really good.
They're actively trying to change their departments. These different police chiefs, and it was really interesting to hear this conversation. But to get back to your question of how do you shut it off? You just shut it off. It's like some things stick with you a little longer, but you got to let it go because you got something else to do tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a good point, man. Professional. I guess it must be like a matter of professionalism. That's the best way I can see it. Like I said, me being outward, kind of hard for me. Like I hold my emotions and I'm like I do act on them. Getting older, like you said, kind of getting a little bit more adjusted to what you need to do and how you should do it
Yeah.
better and stuff like that. Very important. But hey, I want to ask about like I've seen you and all this stuff forever. I'm enjoying this conversation right now. But I wanted to ask, man. So you started off. You said comedy in high school and stuff like that. What was your first big break where you were like, okay, I'm surprised, I'm here. Like like
I think
can't
I
believe I did
think
this.
Terminator 2 was probably the point when roles got easier for me to get.
Gotcha.
Because leading up to that, I mean, I think I hadn't worked for like 3 months when
Mm,
when I auditioned for Terminator 2, and then nothing. I didn't hear anything back. A couple months go by, and finally, I was looking to do something else. I'm looking in the newspaper trying to find a job.
Yeah, yeah.
I see an ad in the LA Weekly that said, learn to deal cards. We have placement in Monaco, Reno, Vegas.
Oh, wow.
Seven-figure salary. So you could audit the first class, right? It's a $499 class. So you audit the first class. If you like it, you pay your $499, and then you're on your way. And so I go to audit this class, and before the first break, Suits came in, shut the class down. They were laundering
wow.
money through this class. So I'm so glad I didn't give them my money. Just walk in and give them my money.
Gotcha.
And so this is one of the dramatic times where I feel like I was trying to do something else, and God was like, "No, this is not what you're gonna do. I need
Yeah.
you over here." So like a week or so later, I get a call from the wardrobe department from Terminator 2, and literally it had been like 2 months that I had read for it and didn't get it. I just thought I didn't get it, and
Yeah.
so wardrobe called, and so she says, "I need your sizes," and I was like, "For what? I haven't not entered in 2 months." And so she tells me what it is, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So I called my agents after I get through talking to her, and they said, "Yeah, we got him on the phone right now. We're making a deal." And then that was like the beginning of things starting to snowball for me.
Got you. That's so cool, man. Hearing your, I think another part of this that I love more than anything is like when I'm speaking with like artists of your caliber, man. It's like, at some point you had to think just like me or other people that I know or stuff like that. Like, oh man, I don't know if this is going to happen. I'm literally kind of in that little weird process where I'm like, oh man, am I doing this? Am I going to be able to do this? But I'm trying to stay true to it because, like you're saying, I feel like this is my calling, man. I feel like everything has been made to put me where I am right now. And just hearing, you guys speak on it, it does give you hope, man. It does give you hope because it's challenging. You never know what's going to happen. You never know if you should quit because you don't know. You went into that predicament, and then the Suits walk in, and then, oh man, what am I doing with my life? And then 2 seconds later, it's like, oh wait, I am doing the right thing. It's got to be such a mental case.
Well, and I think part of it too is that we're so hard on ourselves, and a lot of times we want success right now, but
Yes.
it's like I look back on my career, I'm still grinding. I mean, I'm still jumping through the hoops. I get a lot of offers, but I still have to audition. This past week, I think this past 2 weeks, I had probably 3 or 4 auditions, and
Really? Okay.
then so that's the grind. That's the work of getting the work, and then but we have to understand that there's going to be patience. You never know why you're not chosen. It might not have anything to do with you, because I audition great every time. It's like every time, it's like, especially now when we have like these self tapes. I don't send the tape in.
I heard about that
until I'm happy. I was like, okay, I like this one. We'll send this one. And because of that, it's like we have to get to a point where, and this is really talking to like younger artists. It's like, be patient. It's going to come. When it's your time, it's going to come. I had a producer tell me one time that you don't know why you don't get a job. He said, you walk in with a purple shirt on, and one of the producers' wife left him last night. She had on a purple dress. You're guilty by association. It's got nothing to do with you.
I said that before. I know it's crazy because I said stuff like that before because it's crazy because the humanity of people, like, the people in power, everything like that. Like, people forget, man. I have this argument all the time. We're just people. We're just people at the end of the day. The judge who sentenced you at the courthouse is a person. The cop that's arresting you is a person. Like, these are just people. They have emotions. They have different things. But you expect them to have a higher caliber. That's the reason why it's different.
And the thing is, people are fallible.
Right,
I mean, we all have faults. We all have things that make us human. And some of those things are some of the choices that we make are bad choices. And as an actor, when you don't get a job, it's got nothing to do with you. It's like they chose differently. So it's not a rejection. They just went another way. Like for example, over the past few weeks, I've read for Chicago Med 3 times.
That's a good show.
And haven't gotten it. But I know I've been killing it because they keep calling me back in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you got to kind of tell there.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, they want me on the show. It's just a matter of, where does it fit?
Do you like doing TV shows, or would you rather? Have you ever had like a lasting part in a TV show?
Yeah, I did Chuck for 5 years.
Chuck. I, I looked up your stuff and I didn't have it on hand right now, and I kind of was all over the place today. But I know I had a couple of things that I knew you were in besides the stuff that I know you from, or whatever.
Mhm.
But yeah, do you like doing TV shows? I've heard like a mixture of people saying it's like it's
You know, TV
challenging.
is fun. You build your fan base through it. It's great money. Um, sitcom is very formulaic. So the creativity is not there. But then I bounce out and do a play after when I'm on a show like that, because then that feeds the beast that needs to be an artist.
Yeah.
But that TV show pays the bills, right?
Yeah. That's another thing I've heard hearing, like when these people that do shows and then they don't like it because like they say it's a lot going into a show. Like you have to continuously do that every week. So I've heard people come on. Tommy Chong was one of them saying he just likes movies, like just do a movie, get your pay, and then you on to the next project or whatever. But doing the shows, I can imagine like you have to be around those people so often. Like you just saw it with Roseanne. Roseanne's coming out saying like, who would have thought, that show we were watching ever since I was little. Roseanne, I love Roseanne. But then you find out like, I guess she had like kind of toxic environment. It wasn't really the best. And the people that you thought would have loved her were kind of like, hey, I can't wait to get her out of here. It's interesting, man, because you kind of build a family outside of your family with your work.
Yeah, well, you work with somebody, like on Chuck, it was 8 days a week. I didn't, because we shot like a movie because it was single cam.
Yeah.
You don't see everybody every episode, but over a 5-year stretch, you get to know people and you become friends, and some of them become lifelong friends. Some of them are gone until you see them again. But I think that first 2 seasons, there were 2 people, one cast person and one crew person that ended up being off the show because a little bit of toxicity, and I think with a cast that big, I'm just really grateful that we all got along and it was fun to go to work. It was a lot of fun to go to work. I worked on an episode of Designing Women. And they hated each other.
Oh, really?
It's like, it was it was palpable. I remember saying to Meshach Taylor, I said, hey, how do you work like this? He says, I just try to stay out of their way. Those women just, they hated each other.
That's interesting, man.
And that's a terrible way to work for several years.
I'm trying to anywhere. I don't want to work. I had a job working at Aaron's, the furniture place where you go and people rent furniture and stuff. Oh man, that was a crazy job. But the crazy thing about it was, I was delivering furniture, like or we did have to go pick it up. People who had make payments or whatever, and I had to work with this guy. It was me and this guy 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week. And I had to work with this guy in this truck every single day. And I couldn't stand this guy, man. I couldn't stand him. But I needed money. Right? So I'm going here and I'm just saying I was telling my girl every day, I'm like, oh man, I don't know how I'm doing this, yo. It's literally just for the money. But I get up and I go to work, and every day me and this guy would be tag team partners, man, by just choice of selection. You know what I mean? And I realized like I had to quit. On top of not liking the job, but just I was living my life. I was established best friends with this person that I didn't want in my life, really. So no matter the money or whatever. So I can imagine if you're over here dealing with like a show where you guys have to work so well together, to be around somebody who's just like, either saying things, bad or just being evil or whatever. It's got to be extremely challenging. And you don't want to test it because, your money. You don't want to mess up your career and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. Definitely crazy inside politics there. How was it working with so being on like your first big break, like getting that Terminator 2 role? Oh, my bad. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I was just saying, just being tolerant because of the sake of a job is something that I've never had to go through. It's like every time I've had a job where I didn't like, I was just like, you know what, this is a job. This is not my career. So see ya.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So good, man. It's hard. It's hard to do that sometimes.
Freedom. There's freedom in that.
Yeah. Really, really, and the fact is, like, being able to do that is the best, blessing that you could possibly have in that situation, because you
Yeah.
really, there's so many times where it's like I'm just now, like, that's what I'm saying, like I'm finally feeling like I'm finally in position to be like, okay, I know what I'm not doing anymore in my life. Like, unless
Yeah.
things get really bad, I'm not going there anymore. I'm not going here anymore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make my way however I need to make it. But I do feel bad, COVID, and all that stuff really opened up people's eyes to what you're going to have to do in a situation. I
Right.
mean, we have a lot of stuff going on now too, but from single moms and single parents having to leave their kids home and
Hmm.
stuff like that. Like, people go through different challenges just off the the wind blowing in the world. So it's very difficult to try to establish yourself of what you can and cannot do, because some things are just made decisions for you.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's a lot of challenge, man. But yeah, it's really when you said that purple shirt thing, that spoke to me deep, man. Because I was like, I say stuff like that all the time. You never
Yeah.
know what's gonna happen just from somebody's personal experiences. You gotta just hope somebody's not having a bad day that day.
Well,
It's
that
crazy.
particular producer said to me, it's like, I think I probably did, 6 or 8 commercials with him.
Yeah.
And he said, when he told me that time, he says, he says, the last time we worked together, he says, you almost didn't get the job because the lady that they liked that was going to play opposite you was taller than you. He says, and I kept telling him, he's the money. He said, we can put him on an apple box. We could sit her down. We don't. He says, you don't go away from that guy because he's the money. He's going to sell
Yeah.
your product.
There you go.
And so he talked me into the job. He talked me into it because they
That's
wanted to go
awesome.
a different way because they like this woman.
That's really
And
awesome. That's really awesome, man. That's really awesome. But yeah, I definitely yeah, it's a great conversation. I definitely want to know, because this is something that I like. Even when I watch, I'm telling you, I literally just watched. I just watch you being thrown up against the wall. I just watched it. Like, me and my girls watched it. Um, Getting your first big break where you were like, okay, my first big thing that I got working with Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of the biggest still to this day action superstars of all time. Like, how did that feel? Like, was it
well, by the time I
um
worked with Arnold, I had already worked with some big names. I think, but it was great to work with Arnold because I was a huge Mr. Olympia fan.
oh, really?
And
Okay.
he was actually training a guy to be Mr. Olympia.
Oh,
While
okay.
we were shooting Terminator 2, he had a tractor trailer that was a gym set up on the lot.
Oh,
And
wow.
this dude would come in, this big Austrian dude. He was tall and V-shaped like Arnold, and Arnold was working out with this dude, getting him ready. And then but Lee Haney was just a beast and decimated him. And I've never seen that dude again.
Wow, really, really, really. I
Yeah,
didn't even know that. I didn't even know those guys were V. Haney, that the guy who won that year.
yeah. Lee Haney won 8 years in a row.
Oh, wow. Gotta look
After
him up.
Arnold,
I
and,
never
and,
heard of
and
him.
it made Lou Ferrigno very, very embittered, I think, because he thought he was next.
I was watching that movie. What was that movie they had together where they were thrown up in the gym and everything like that? Um, I
Pumping
love that
Iron.
movie, Pumping Iron. Yeah, I saw that like three
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
Yeah.
Lee thought he was next, but I mean, Lou thought he was next, but Lee was just so symmetrical and huge. I mean, his pecs was like, and his abs was just like
It's craziness.
just a specimen.
Yeah, man, it's like statues, bro. And what's really funny is Arnold was huge in Terminator. Arnold was like that was like peak Arnold, like that was like when he
Yeah.
first like, but when he got
Well,
into
I tell you,
Terminator 2, no,
look
okay,
for a movie called Hercules in New York.
yeah, I know that. That was peak Arnold. He
That
was
was
giant in
peak
that
Arnold.
movie.
He was still
Yes,
Mr. Olympia then. Did you see his back? His back was
bro.
like a billboard.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Arnold's
they
huge.
looped his entire voice throughout the whole thing. It's like
Oh,
it's
really?
not his voice. Yeah, if you
Oh,
watch
I
him
didn't
and
know
say,
that.
hey, it's not even his voice.
That's
It's like some
crazy. I
guy
did
going,
not know
hey,
that.
hey, get back over here.
I gotta rewatch it. I think I saw that when I was like a little kid. My dad was watching it, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, but it's crazy because it's crazy to hear that he was training for Mr. Olympia or somebody for Olympia then, because he was so much smaller in Terminator 2, man. Like he had lost his like some weight or weight cut, whatever he did.
Yeah,
He was so small.
he wasn't hitting it like he was back when it's Mr. Olympia days. Like in the first Terminator, he was still Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
So his body,
Giant.
he had shrunk because he wasn't lifting that way anymore.
Giant dude, man, unreal. But Mr. Marcus Lawrence, that's really awesome that you had all those experiences. Who are some of the people that you've met? Let's just say some of the people that you met that as somebody who was starting in the industry, you were like, man, I can't wait to work with this person or something like that. You have any dream guys?
I mean, there's a lot of people that I haven't worked with that I would love to work with. I can check Denzel off the list. I work with him in Pursuit of Happiness. Morgan Freeman I'd like to work with. James Earl Jones I'd like to work with, but he's not doing as much anymore.
Yeah.
Pacino, De Niro, those guys.
Yeah.
There's so many. Jessica Lange. I think she is one of the most underrated actresses around, and I mean, there's just so many,
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of talent out there, and it's crazy because the guys that you said are like the ones that I grew up watching, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people who are watching now, grew up watching these guys. Legendary, man. I had one of the guys from the original Godfather movie on the Gianni Russo, on telling a whole bunch of different stories and stuff like that about crazy stuff. But just in that movie alone, Al Pacino and so much history and one of the greatest movies ever made. It's crazy that
I'd like to work with Wendell Pierce again. Wendell Pierce and I did a play together here in San Diego, and Wendell, he's so much fun to be around and really just a fantastic actor. I think he and I should find something where we play brothers or something.
I loved him in the Fighting Temptations. When he played the priest, that's him, right? Wendell, I gotta look at his face.
He was in what was that movie that show set in Baltimore? Remember that show, The Wire? He was in The Wire.
Wendell Pierce.
He was, yeah.
I remember.
Treme. He works a lot.
He was the choir director in the Fighting Temptations with Beyonce and Cuba Gooding.
Yeah.
I love that's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, he's funny, man. We did a Shakespeare play together, and there was moments where I could not look at him. I had to look upstage because I would start laughing.
That's fun working with your friends, man. When you make those friends that you just have a ball with when you're working with them. Listen, bro. That's really cool.
Yeah, he was definitely that kind of guy to work with.
That's awesome. That is so cool. So, Mark, so now you're over here. Are you focusing mostly on comedy now? I know you said you were writing for Chicago Fire.
Doing everything. I did last year. I did 2 commercials. I did Fragment Oblivion, which is a mini series, which may end up being a series. Play the lead in that. Play the lead in a movie that'll be out this Christmas called Bringing Back Christmas. I'm the third lead in another Christmas movie called Lying Together, and that'll be out probably this November as well.
Awesome.
So not really. Fragment Oblivion is straight up dramatic. It's a dramatic role, and not really focusing on comedy. It's like as an actor, you just want to work and you want to take the challenge of whatever comes at you.
Gotcha.
So and right now, it seems like there's some dramatic stuff coming at me, like Bringing Back Christmas. I mean, my character, it starts off. My character thinks he's getting a raise, and he gets fired.
That's not good.
He's like it's Christmas. He gets fired by his best friend. So
that's crazy.
So it's a dramatic thing that there's some funny stuff in it. Lee Allen Baker is hysterical.
Gotcha.
She is really funny. She's like one of those people that when you're working with her, it's like she gives you something a little different every take. Which is what good actors do. We try to make it every take get better. and our chemistry was really great. And she was just crazy funny to work with. There's moments where I'm really mostly the straight man in these scenes with her, and but she would crack me up at least once or twice a night. When we were working.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, man. I mean, once again, congratulations on such a successful career, man. It seems like you're going to be one of them guys who are just like you said, like with James Earl Jones, and just like you're going to be doing it until you don't want to do it no more, man. I mean,
Yeah, hopefully your mouth to God's ears.
yes, sir, for sure. I mean, you've been on your way at least, But
Well, it's like
yeah,
I look back at it. I look back like one day I was kind of surfing through my IMDb, and I was like, there's some stuff on there there's some stuff that's not on there from early on, and so it's been a lot of things, and I look back at it and I go, wow, I've really had a great career. I have a career that most people would love to have, but I still feel like I got more to do. That there's
it's awesome.
there's more in me, and there's some better stuff to come.
That's super awesome, man. Hey, listen, I'll be there every step of the way. I think you're phenomenal, man. I definitely want to hear some of your stand-up. I'm a stand-up fiend. I love
Yeah.
stand-up comedy, man. Who's your favorite comedian? You got a
Ooh,
favorite?
That's a hard one. I like a lot of different people.
Yeah.
For the dead ones, Richard
Mhm.
Pryor for sure. Red Fox for sure.
Yeah.
I really like the storytellers. Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
The guys that are around today. There's a guy named Paul Ogata. Who is a good friend. And when I watch him work, I sometimes say to myself, why do I even call myself a comedian?
Yeah.
Because he
man.
is
Some people are
so
really
good and nobody knows him. And
Got you.
he's fantastic.
I'm gonna check him out now.
Yeah, so there's a lot of folks, Chappelle, I like Chappelle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of folks.
Yeah.
Monique Marvez, beast.
I'd have to check them out too. But you're dropping bombs on me right now because I literally walk around all day. Like everything I do, I usually put on Pandora, and I have a whole bunch of different stations. One of the ones that's the funniest to me now is Little Rel Howie. Like he I mean funny, man. Just like straight up funny too. Like he just tells like different types of stories, just puts himself in awkward experiences and stuff like that or whatever. But I mean, I love all types of comedy, man. I'm a giant Louis C.K., Dave Chappelle, like you said, but I listen to comedy like just on repeat. Lavelle Crawford, one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah, Lavelle is funny.
Bruce, yeah, man. I love comedy. Sinbad is one of the most slept on artists in the industry. I wish they got to do something for Sinbad coming.
I'll tell you a funny story.
Award shows.
Sinbad, I worked with Sinbad several years ago. It was a charity event. It was at Rupp Arena in Kentucky, and 10,000 people there. There's a couple of singers on the show. There's a escape artist on the show.
Oh, wow.
They had a minister, bring a message, and then the show was the comedy was me, Henry Cho, Sinbad, and Bill Engvall.
Okay.
And so I go up. The singer introduced me and totally freaked out and forgot the intro. He was just like, I'm supposed to introduce the next guy, and I can't even remember his name, but he's a comedian. Here he is.
Really?
I said, you got one job.
Yeah, jack my stuff all up.
So then I introduced myself and did my set, had a great set, and introduced Henry Cho. Henry comes up, has a great set, introduces Sinbad. Sinbad has him bring the lights up. And he talks to the audience for about 5 minutes before he even gets into the jokes. And the crowd work that he did was so funny. It was like, wow. So he took me and Henry to a whole nother place, and then he did the jokes.
Gotcha.
And then Bill came up after Sinbad. And I know why they put Bill last, because it was Kentucky, and they felt like, blue collar tour. This is his crowd. But he gets up there and starts talking about being on Dancing with the Stars, and people were leaving a row at a time.
For real?
They're just staring at him. And
Holy crap.
Sinbad looks at me and he goes, "It's not going well, is it?" I said, "Nope."
That's crazy. I
But
would
he
have
wouldn't
never
get off
imagined.
that story. He just kept telling it. It's like, dude, 10 people just walked.
That's crazy, yo. I know some guys have just their pride. They're like, "Hey, listen, I'm just tell. I don't care. Do whatever you got to do, whatever, or
Yeah,
whatever."
Sinbad should have
Bill Engvall,
closed
he's
the show.
funny.
So it was upside down.
Yeah, listen,
Sinbad should have closed.
yeah. Sinbad is phenomenal. He really does not get enough credit, in my opinion. You don't hear about his name, but another movie with him and Arnold. When they did Jingle All the Way, I watched Jingle All the Way every single year since I was 96. Yeah, since 96, I've been
Yeah.
watching Jingle All the Way. I love it. Have you ever done have you ever done anything with Martin Lawrence?
I was supposed to do an episode of the show. It was a 2-part episode, Hollywood Swinging, and the character got written out. Me and Tommy Ford were good friends, so I get
Really?
there, and Martin's like, "Nobody calls him," and so I just hung out and had lunch. But like in TV, when you're a guest star, if you get guest star billing, they still have to pay you, and they still have to
Yeah.
pay you residuals. So I still get residuals from it, but I never did the show.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. What part? Because I know. Listen, me Brian B. I've watched every episode of Martin 446 times 20. Like, and Hollywood. That was with Tommy Davidson. That was when he had left his job and he went to Hollywood to try to be on Tommy Davidson's show.
Yep.
That was a great. Casey and Joe. Not New Edition was on that.
Yeah.
Jodeci, not New Edition.
Yeah,
That was a
and
big
so the
episode.
part that I was supposed to play was written out, and so I get there and there's no job. I just hung out, ate lunch, and hung out with Tommy, my friend Tommy Ford, and
No job. Let's like Tommy.
no job. Just got paid. no job. Just like Tommy.
Yeah,
Rest in
man.
peace.
Yeah, Martin Lawrence is my favorite actor of all time, man. This is one of Will and Martin, because of Bad Boys. Bad Boys. I saw Bad Boys when I was younger, and it just
Yeah.
stuck. And then of course Martin. My parents, they let us watch everything. We was watching Fresh Prince. We was watching all that stuff. Whatever. I still watch cartoons and stuff, but I like the adult stuff too.
Working with Will on Pursuit of Happiness. That
was such a great movie, man. That was such a great.
Yeah, and
movie.
he was a good dude to work with. Really a major star.
Yeah.
And very humble, very, very down to earth. Very cool to work with.
Yeah. It sucks all the stuff going on right now, man. Because like Will Smith is my favorite actor. And Chris Rock is one of my favorite comedians of all time as well. So it's like, especially like, and I'm not the one for like, race talk that much, but it does. It sucks in us our people, like, these are two of our legends, man. Like, you don't want them at each other's throats, but things happen, you can't do anything about it. Have you ever had any, not to bring up like personal stuff, whatever, but have you ever had any like awkward situation where you're like, I ain't working with that person, I don't want nothing to do with them or whatever?
No, early in my comedy career, there used to be this great club in Orange County called Laugh Stout. And Bobcat Goldthwait, I was an opener. I mean, literally, I probably only had about 15 or 20 minutes of material. But they loved me at the Laugh Stop, so I opened a lot of weekends down there, which really helped me because doing that ended up going on the road with several headliners, from working there.
Yeah.
And so there was one weekend where Bobcat Goldthwait was there. And you know how he does that thing. So Friday and Saturday night, there's 3 shows. And it would be 2 shows Thursday, 3 shows Friday, 3 shows Saturday, 2 shows Sunday. And so Friday night, we're in the green room, and he won't stop doing that thing. And all the other comics, they don't want to say anything to him. And I was like, dude, save it for the stage. So he starts shouting a bunch of crap. And I'm fresh out of college at that point, and quick to 0 to 100 immediately.
Yeah.
So he starts talking crap. So I start talking crap, and I think the last thing I said to him was like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And then he got scared, and he was like, "Well, I'm gonna. You're out of here. I'm gonna go and tell management." So he goes to management, and they loved me. And she says, I could hear her say, "What's happening? Really? We love Mark. He's not getting fired. Just do your job and turn it off when you're in the green room."
He probably thought he was high status because Bobcat Gold. He was in a bunch of different stuff from Police Academy to I remember they had that show that Unhappily Ever After. He played the rabbit. Yeah, you don't hear too much about Bobcat anymore.
I mean, he's not a great actor. He's not.
He didn't do too much. He didn't do too much.
He's not a great actor, but he is. It is what it is. But back then, 0 to 100 immediately.
Yeah, I feel you, bro. I just
wait. Just take my time. It's like give people patience and benefit of the doubt.
Isn't it nice getting older? Like I have these conversations with my girls all the time. Like sometimes I tell them, I'm like I don't even recognize myself anymore. I'm such a different person from how I used to be as a young guy. And now I got 3 kids and a dog, and I don't even know who I am. I'm going shopping for the house. Makes you feel like an imposter. Like
hilarious.
It's crazy, man. But at the same time, it's like I love the fact that I'm older and I'm calm. You can chill out and stuff like that.
How old are you?
I'm 36, man. I'm 36, so I'm going into that middle stage, I guess. Hopefully,
Yeah, but in my 30s when I started slowing down. It was like, okay, let me chill. And then I started working out with a friend of mine who's a SEAL. And I remember one time he said to me, he says, yeah, I think I turned 40. He says, yeah, at 40, you don't want to fight. He said, you got 2 or 3 good minutes of fighting. And you at 40. He said, then you need some oxygen. He says, you want to be thinking throat and nuts and go home.
Trying to tell you, man. What's going to make me easy right now?
Hard for somebody to fight you when they're gasping for air.
Trying to tell you, man. You go hard up that adrenaline for the first 2 minutes, and then you over there.
And then
struggling. Hey, Mark, man, I don't want to hold you up too much. It's been great talking with you. I knew it was going to be a fun conversation, man. He seemed like such a cool guy. But it was a great having you on the show. Thank you so much. I wish you so much more with your success. Thank you for all the wonderful experiences and everything that you've done that I've been able to watch. And Beeline, guys, go check out Mr. Mark Christopher Lawrence. Where are you usually? Is there like a location where you're usually doing your stand-up currently?
Mostly in San Diego at Mic Drop. I'm doing like a quarterly clean show at Mic Drop.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
man,
in San Diego. So the next one I think is June 15th. I think.
Got you. Yeah, I one thing I want to do. I said I had to stand up on at one point, and I said I think at the end of last year, I would love to get up on a stage and just try. I don't know if I suck or whatever.
One or two things is going to happen. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it.
Got you.
And if you love it, you're going to get bit by the bug and you'll be up every week. And even on the nights where it feels terrible, you're still going to love it. So I'll give you this advice. Know exactly what you're going to say the first time you go up. Don't try to go off the cuff. Because the first time somebody jumps in and tries to help you, you're going to be lost. So get yourself 3 good hot minutes. Know that you're going to do those 3 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever they give you and be ready to go.
Yes, sir.
And go for it. Just go
motivation.
For it. You don't want to wake up one day and go, I regret I never did that.
Absolutely right. I live my life by that right there. Sometimes too much, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, thank you so much for that, man. It means a lot coming from you, especially. But Marcus for Lawrence, thank you so much for coming on my show today, man. Guys, make sure you guys go check out. I'm gonna leave all his information in the description down below. I mean, you guys have seen him on everything. Such a humble guy. Very, very appreciative of the knowledge that you actually spread on the show as well today. But Beeline, till next time, I love you all. Stay true, stay positive, pay attention, and do all the things you're supposed to do in life so you can have an amazing journey, just like Mr. Mark Christopher Lawrence here. And now I'm signing out. Good night, y'all.